Hello friends and potential friends. Well, you may have seen me baking some buttermilk biscuits the other day because I felt I needed those to properly taste test the sorghum syrup that Brett sent me. But I'm stingy and I don't want that sorghum to go away anytime soon, so I'm going to be eating it very sparingly. And that left me with a bunch of buttermilk biscuits that I need to use up. So I started thinking, well, what else can I do with the biscuits? And then I remembered some of the stuff that I used to eat when I was a kid. Mainly because this last summer I spent a lot of time talking to my mom about some of the meals that she fixed when I was a kid. And one that comes to mind real fast is Mom's mushroom gravy. Basically, it's a simple recipe. A few cans of cream of mushroom soup. Yes, I know that's got stuff in it that probably isn't good for me, but I've been eating that stuff for 70 years now and it hasn't killed me yet, so I don't see much reason to stop eating it, especially since I haven't perfected my own cream of mushroom type of soup. So I'm going to continue using it. If you can make your own cream of mushroom without all those unpronounceable ingredients in it, go for it. That'll make this even better and probably a bit cheaper too. But I have already emptied 4 cans of soup into my big pot. Got that heating up and stirring. I've got a jar of mushrooms that I canned in, 2020. I've got ground beef and I've also got sausage. I'm going to use a mix of both of those because I like the sausage in my gravy. Found a couple of onions that were growing in a refrigerator, so I'm going to chop up the tops of those. And I found one that's actually still edible, so I'll add that to the mix too. Handful of the garlic I grew last year, and some of the dried rosemary. Yes, I know this looks like it came from the store, Sam's Club actually, and the container originally did, but I ran out of what came from Sam's several years ago. What's in here now is the rosemary that I've been growing. So at least some of this stuff came out of the garden. And oh yeah, there's a couple of the biscuits too. So I'm going to go ahead and get these ingredients all going in that pot. I'm going to take the sausage and the hamburger and cook it in my skillet. And then I'm going to add everything in there and let it cook down for a while. And one of the things that I've discovered is that with a lot of the recipes that I make, trying to recreate things that I remember as a child, the longer you cook it, the better it gets. So let me get these things chopped up and put in the pot, and we'll see what I can show you next. Okay, got the hamburger and the sausage browning. I've already added rosemary to the mushroom soup, and these are the onions and garlic that I'm going to add in. Get those mixed in good and let them heat up. Did I mention how versatile this can be? I'm going to make a big batch of it, and I don't have enough biscuits to use all that up. But I can always make some mashed potatoes. Put it over mashed potatoes, put it over rice, mix up some noodles, put it over some kind of noodles. Combinations are pretty much endless. When I was growing up, my mom told me that when I was real young, she had a grocery budget of about $10 a week. And out of that, she fed the family of 5. And we always seemed to have good food. Well, except when she cooked liver. But that was as close as we ever got to beef, so that was a special treat for the rest of the family and for the family dog, because I don't like liver. Never have, never will. And I devised some pretty ingenious ways to get rid of that liver when she did fix liver for supper. Because we had a rule in our family that you ate what was put in front of you. And there were times when I'd be sitting at that table for hours trying to figure out how to get rid of that liver. I would cut it up into tiny little pieces that I could swallow. Later on, and don't tell Mom, I discovered that the table we had for the dining room table had a little metal lip around underneath it. And I could take those little squares of liver and line them up on that little lip. And, well, another rule we had in the house was the dog never ate from the table. If we were sitting at the table, Blackie knew not to come near it. But she later learned that when we had liver, after we were all finished, she could come in there and clean up all those little pieces of liver that I had lined up on the lip underneath the table. I mean, I sometimes went to bed hungry, but at least I didn't have to eat that liver. I'm not sure if Mom ever knew that or not, but I guess it's time to confess. The mushrooms are heating up. I'm going to have to drain off the juice out of this hamburger and sausage and combine the two together. And you don't want to watch me trying to manhandle that frying pan, because it's heavy to begin with and I need to be able to hold it with both hands while still having a hand to drain the juice out of it. So I'll bring you back when I put everything together. Okay, the hamburger and sausage are cooked. I need to rearrange things a little bit so that I have enough room to work here. And I'm just going to dump this whole concoction into the mushroom soup. Get all the good little bits out of there. And get that thing out of the way. As you can see, I'm making a pretty good size batch of this stuff because I can use it for a lot of different things. And I intend to over the next week or two. But for right now, I'm just going to put it back on this back burner and let it cook for a few hours. Low heat, just enough to keep it bubbling a little bit. When I put the lid on it, at some point it will start thickening up a little bit better. Well, as long as I leave the lid off, it'll boil off some of the liquids in it. But at some point when it gets thick enough, I'll just put the lid on it, turn the heat down a bit more, and just let it cook. And after a few hours, I'll bring you back and we'll show you what I'm going to have for supper tonight. Okay, this has been cooking on low for 2 or 3 hours now. I left the lid off for the last hour so it would thicken up a little bit, and it's looking just about right. Got some biscuits broken up here in my bowl, and now I'm just going to add the gravy. Like I mentioned, it's all about the fillers. I've got quite a bit left here. I can put it over biscuits. I can put it over mashed potatoes. Cook some noodles and pour it over the noodles. Cook some rice and pour it over the rice. One of the ways I usually make this, or back when I was still working, I would make a big batch of this on the weekends, and I just dump a cup of minute rice in there and let that cook for about an hour. That would thicken everything up, turn it to a not quite soupy consistency, but I could eat that all week. One of my problems is I have not yet figured out how to cook for one person. But by leaving this as the gravy, I can eat it all week and yet have a different meal every day. So that's looking pretty good. Incidentally, I don't know how much Crackle Barrel charges for their biscuits and gravy, but this right here, based on the price of hamburger and the price of sausages, probably about 50 cents. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go and enjoy my supper, and I'll see y'all next time.